Yo, yo, happy Monday, happy solar eclipse day. Hopefully, you didn't fucking blind yourself like a jackass. I didn't do that, but um, based on my P&L, it looks like I did fucking blind myself. It's all good though. I took 3 losses, but like looking back at it, I actually think I learned a lot from today. So, uh, well, I definitely traded like shit. We'll get into it. Um, I traded like emotionally and stuff. Took some bad losses, but um, in hindsight, like looking back, when I reviewed the charts, I really thought like what occurred today made a lot of sense to me. So uh, you know, trying to bring out the positives, right? So going into the day, we're basically just consolidating in this range. I'm very bearish on the higher time frame. Uh, I mean, ES looks way better, but this is like OTE of the range to the downside. So if you look at like a 4 hour, like you have this huge imbalance. We're like sitting in OTE the range, and I pretty much expect us to go sell off all this low resistance liquidity. Uh, SMT at the highs, like it looks really good for shorts on a higher time frame, but so we're just in this range. Realistically, the best like case scenario is just don't trade unless the externals have been taken, so either this high here or this low, um, and then play like the opposite direction. That's like how you should be playing these ranges. And so with that ideology, I mean, I didn't follow that ideology. I did the opposite, but we also had this seek and destroy profile. So London took out Asia low, Asia high. New York takes out London high, and then pretty much just dumped to the downside. There was a little bit of like an entry here, I guess, in this imbalance. Um, there pretty much like wasn't anything here, uh, and was like the first clear imbalance. But I was looking at this, but I just wasn't gonna take this. It just felt too low to me, too discounted. But I guess you could have sort of like, that's like the turtle soup there. I know I have the wrong position. This is a short or a long, but here, let's just put a short. Even that is a pretty damn big sell-off, but I wouldn't have really taken this. I didn't take it. I was looking at it, but I didn't take it because it just felt too low to me. But I mean, I guess if you're confident in the seek and destroy model, it was pretty obvious that we were just going to sell off to that low. I was just kind of, we had these huge imbalances. I was kind of looking for us to maybe pull back a bit before doing that. But regardless, take out London low, huge SMT, like extremely obvious SMT. So, just from this, right? So let me zoom back out again. If you're looking at this, you have an accumulation range. I wouldn't necessarily call this like the manipulation of like AMD. I would much rather see like a deeper press lower before coming back higher. The manipulation leg usually seems much more convincing, like that we're gonna go lower, and then it fails, and like trapping a lot of people. But either way, we took out the low. We had relative equal lows here, like liquidity down here. Take that out, London low, SMT, and we did not sweep this, or we did not displace through this. We swept it and immediately started going higher. This whole area here pretty much is just a balanced price range, BPR, and it just holds, bullish. But, this price action here I was really skeptical of. And so going on to ES, this trade, of course, was bad. We have this huge SMT, but I was thinking, like, it looks like we want to go lower still. That's what I was thinking in my mind. We had like a little imbalance here that we were rejecting from, and then zooming in a bit to the 1 minute. There was like a little SMT here at these highs. We started to push lower. There was no imbalance, but what really got me, I don't know, I just saw us like come up here and then wick hard, and I just smacked a short, thinking like, alright, ES is gonna go take out this low. NQ was like kept sweeping each high. This was like I was looking at NQ too, and like NQ takes a high, fails, takes a high, like fails a little, takes a high, starts displacing lower. Like the SMT, big push lower. I'm like, alright, this is gonna become like low resistance liquidity, and we're just gonna rip to the downside. What I failed to do here, I was just taking a trade because maybe there's a possibility we go lower. There's a possibility I could make money here. But, I gotta somehow get over this, like that sort of mentality, because, you have a huge bullish SMT, this little baby SMT, and price action just looks disgusting. So, like, why am I even trading? There's no trade here. Like, it just, like, this price action is garbage. Nothing's clear. So, yeah, get stopped out. And what really ended up happening was we had this SMT. This was very clear to me after the fact when I sort of, like, took a step back and cleared my head of the bearish bias that I had. And, sort of just looked at the chart. I even like marked it out, but I was like, oh, I'm not gonna take this because I don't know, like whatever. I'm bearishly biased. But basically, what ended up happening was we had that little SMT, but we were just generating relative equal highs here. So we have those relative equal highs, big SMT on the higher time frame. And then we just formed an internal SMT holding OTE of this range. So this is the turtle soup, and that as well. It's also like a 3 drives pattern, or maybe not 3 drives, but you take out this low, bounce, take out this low, and then boom, you displace. This is your market structure shift on the internal time frame through this high, and time aligns too. The trade that I was taking, it's like 10 o'clock, but there's just no displacement here. This is the silver bullet fair value gap. All the SMTs and everything, like it just aligns to bullish, especially with these relative equal highs. That's your 5-handle move that ICT talks about. But once it gets through these equal highs, you just move stop to break even, somewhere to cover commissions too, like down here. And, you have buy side up here, and we just have a great run all the way up to these highs. Like, just clean setup, and I think, like, I'm just like, I was just on my phone, zoomed in at work, and not making any excuses. I was just blinded by my higher time frame bearish bias, that I was just too married thinking like, oh, we're just gonna dump. That's a FOMO thought, that's an emotional thought. Why would we dump? it's a no news Monday, and we're sitting in a consolidation range, and NQ just took the external low of the range, forming a huge SMT. Like there's no reason to go lower. But I think that was, that's like a good learning experience. I definitely this made a lot of sense to me right when it was happening. As I saw us start to move up and start to take out, all of it, because we stacked these 3 highs here, like that trend line. And as we started to push up, I was like, this is going to become low resistance liquidity, and we're just not going to come back. And it just made sense to me, but I wasn't going to, enter up here. And so, when I saw that happen and I took the loss, I was like a little upset that I was like blinded and I wasn't, thinking right for whatever reason, and that I took that crappy trade. I was kind of pissed off. And then I was like, alright, so, this is bullish. And then what I did was I was basically trading as if I was like a breakout trader, and I just got faked out on either end of the range. Which is why I say this is like a good learning experience. For like a no news Monday, like this makes total sense. The sort of price action that we had, take the low, rip to the other end of the range, right? Take out these relative equal highs. Then we form an internal model, sell back off to equilibrium or a deep discount of the range, and then end up consolidating again. Like this makes a lot of sense. If you like blindly just, we took the low SMT long and you're just like stops below there, you could just rip that all the way up to the highs and then take the high short. I'll zoom in here more because there was a pretty clean 2022 model here as well that I was actually longing against. But, so, I was thinking, all right, we're going to go to this external high now. This is sort of like the AMD. I expect us to take out this high now. So we have this 5-minute. We come down, and I was thinking this was going to be sweep of this low. Like this is the turtle soup. Which I gotta chill the fuck out with that. Thinking things are going to be turtle soups. What do I know about a fucking turtle soup? But anyway. So basically we bounce off of OTE. And as we started to displace, I went long. Crappy fill. If anything, like I should just be longing at OTE or something. But anyway, so I go long. We're just chopping in the red. And then when I get stopped out, which is right here, we like instantly wicked off of it, and this was in OTE of this range. So I was like, oh, like, this is still valid. Like, we just took this low, like, now we're gonna go. So I longed again. We end up forming like equal highs here, and I don't think there was an SMT here either. I'm pretty sure ES also formed like equal highs here as well. Where is it? Here. Yeah, so ES, like ES, there was nothing there either. So we just formed pretty much equal highs and then sold off. But if you zoom out a little bit, what ended up happening was we just faded the external of the range again. So we take out all this buy side liquidity. even on an internal time frame. So we take out this internal high, we push lower. This whole area right here is your 5-minute bearish breaker. So I'll just put these with the yellow lines. And then we also have this 5-minute fair value gap here. Boom. And then we also have this big 1-minute fair value gap in here. So I'll just mark this out to make it a little bit cleaner. So that is in OTE of the range. And we ended up taking out this high. This was like the turtle soup, not down here. Taking out the swing high, and we failed to displace above it. Smacking a short in that fair value gap. Stop above the high, or at least above the candle there. And then you can mark out, your standard deviation. I probably would have used this big leg here, not this little one. But, you could have used whichever. Maybe you want to try to line something up. So you got the 1.5 of the larger one, the 4 of the smaller one. Whichever. Take it to 2 or whatever. Whatever you want to do. But that ended up being a good setup there. Even if you were to take this to, just the middle of the range, which would have been a great play as well. You're just like fading the external ends of the range to come back to equilibrium, expecting that like it's Monday, we're just generating liquidity inside this range, we're just going to chop. This is your setup back to the midpoint. Like that makes total sense. So realistically, probably just shouldn't have even traded today. Because at the end of the day, I'm like short biased on a higher time frame, so I should have seen this, saw that we were bullish, placed an alert here, and just said, if we take out this high, I'll look for a short setup, and then that never happened, so I should have just never ended up trading. But there was definitely plenty of opportunity on the the internals of this range, playing, like fading the extremes of the range. This is like a scalper's sort of market here. So, yeah, even like here, I didn't really like the price action, but this was the SMT here in the morning. And then this is like your silver bullet fair value gap here. I didn't like the way ES or NQ played out on this, but eventually once we started to clear these highs, then we just ran to the upside. So ES looked a little bit clearer. Like this looked pretty clean on ES here, this fair value gap, and I mean it held it to the tick perfectly. ES has been cleaning up a little bit recently. I'm starting to think that ES is looking relatively clean. So, maybe I'll start getting back into trading some ES, or not ES, MES. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I got for today, man. Just same old mistakes, being emotional, trying to take setups just because it's possible I make money, and just sort of like, when in reality, is there anything A+ here? Is there anything great? No, I gotta just chill the fuck out. That's the main thing, but it's a constant battle that I'm facing. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I took my third loss, looked at my P&L and said, all right, you know, there's no way I'm digging this hole any deeper. And at least I had the discipline to say, after 3 losses, like, I was like, all right, finally gonna be done now. That's always good. Not blowing your account is always a good thing. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. So we live to fight another day. Going into tomorrow, I'm going to try to be much more careful with how I'm playing this, and sort of just try to wait for an external of this range to be taken before I sort of make a decision. But honestly, I think we're just going to do some more bullshit, and then CPI is just going to like straight line to the downside or something, and then just like, I really think CPI is just going to take up liquidity here and then just completely straight line to the downside and just take all of this liquidity like right down to here. But I'm not gonna take a trade based off that or whatever. It doesn't matter what my prediction is. It's just about how I react to the markets. So I'm gonna stop yapping. Hope you had a good day. Hopefully you were in a cool part of the world where you could see the eclipse. I only got sort of like 90% of the eclipse, but it was pretty cool. So hope you made some money. Hope you stayed disciplined. And if I take a trade tomorrow, I'll see you then. So peace out. Have a good night.